Good morning, boys and girls. So, today is the last few pages of Because of Mr. Turrup. So, as we read, as I read this and you're listening to this, I'm going to be sending out an assignment. Okay. I'm going to give you an example of a book, a different book that I'm going to read to you a little bit later. And I'm going to write an example letter for this book. And we're going to be doing the usual thing. First paragraph's going to be a summary of the story, main events, setting, maybe some of the main characters. And then your second paragraph is going to be about a character and how they might have changed or developed during the book. So I'm going to give you an example using this book, but you are going to be doing it on Mr. Turrup. So you're going to give me a summary of Because of Mr. Turrup. You don't need to get into all the details, but give the main gist. And then that second paragraph, you are going to choose between one of, I believe, 7 characters that they talked about. We had Peter, we had Jessica, we had Luke, we had Lexi, aka Lexia. I think I said Jeffrey, right? Danielle and Anna. And I believe I said Peter, right? Yeah. So we're going to pick one of those main characters, and you're going to say how in the beginning of the story it was like this, and because of, and then give some text evidence, talk about how the character changed. At the end of the book, this, and I want you to find 2 pieces of evidence. So you might have to go back and listen to some of my old readings, but they're all on the Padlet. Okay, there's should be, I think, 38 or 39 of them. So try to think of the character you want to do first, and then from there, maybe you can break it down. Okay, so here we go with our last few pages of Because of Mr. Turrup. All right, where we left off, people were saying goodbye for the summer. Danielle said goodbye. She ended with a prayer of thanks that Mr. Turrup got better. So now we're on to Peter. Okay, the kind of kid who was goofing off a lot. All right, Peter. Out of nowhere, I heard the screams, Mr. Turrup! Everyone around me jumped and then ran toward the door. I couldn't believe it. Mr. T was back. I started crying. Mr. T was alive and he was here. I stayed in my seat trying to look small, but he spotted me. The room grew quiet as Mr. T walked toward me. I was scared again. Mr. T got down on his knees and looked directly into my eyes. Then came the best hug I ever felt. Mr. T wrapped his arms around me and gave me a huge squeeze. I squeezed him back as tight as I could. My body shook, and I sniffled my snotty nose. It's okay, Peter, he whispered in my ear. I forgive you. Suddenly, I felt lighter, a lot lighter. Okay? Now we're moving on to Jessica. So think of the change of that character from the beginning of the story, okay? Now let's think about Jessica. Final act, final scene. I've realized something. It's not California I long for anymore, or even Dad. It's 6th grade and another year with Mr. Turrup. I want to ask him about his family and tell him to let Miss Newberry to get close because she truly cares about him, but now isn't the time. There will be lots of opportunity for that when school starts up again. I need to enjoy this curtain call. I've read a lot of books, but I think ours is a great story. And I know Mr. Turrup would agree. It's a happy ending. Okay, now we're going to move to our last character, and that is Luke. I remember thinking 6th grade. We're going to be 6th graders, and Mr. Turrup is going to be my teacher, our teacher. I thought of Mrs. Williams' word, magic. I looked at Mr. Turrup sitting with some of my classmates, and I thought, she's right. There will be magic. He's my teacher, the dollar ward man. And you know what? Turrup is a dollar word. What do you know? All right. Think about those characters. All right. And there is, if you're ever interested in reading the sequel, there is one, but it's kind of like when they get older in middle school and stuff like that. So maybe it interests you, but it's by Rob Baya. Okay, so when you're doing your letter on this, remember the summary is going to be about this book. Okay, you want to have include the title, the author, and then that second paragraph, you're going to choose just one character and how they changed, and try to find. I want you guys to find two pieces of evidence. All right, boys and girls. Until our next book, I can't wait.